And so it is my great pleasure as President of the Canadian Society for Disability and Oral Health to welcome you all to our annual general meeting. And at this point, I would like to begin the meeting by taking a minute to reflect on a land acknowledgement. And this land acknowledgement was very thoughtfully put together for us by Dr. Paul Romanson. We are a pan-Canadian organization, and the Indigenous people living throughout Canada include Métis, Inuit, and First Nations. And there are over 630 First Nations communities across the vastness of Canada. From Vancouver Island in the west to Newfoundland in the east, let us name a few of these communities to bring focus to our acknowledgement. The coastal Salish, the Musqueam, the Blackfoot, the Cree, the Ojibwe, the Mohawk, the Seneca, the Oneida, the Algonquin, the Huron, the Mi'kmaq, the Botook. These are but a few of the great communities that make up Canada. We honor and respect the history, languages, and culture of these Indigenous peoples who call their unique territory of Turtle Island home. We are grateful to have the opportunity to work, live, and play in these territories. Now, before we get into today's AGM, first off, I am so thrilled every time I come on this AGM that because I see people I haven't seen in ages, and I know I am so tempted right now to start flooding the chat room, or say hi, or just catch up. So I just wanted to go over some ground rules so that we could have a wonderful meeting. And I just want to remind everyone that we do have a session that we're going to stay on. The board is going to stay on at the end of this meeting, and we can have a virtual get together, a virtual chat at the end. We are recording this meeting, and if you do not wish to appear on the recording, we suggest you turn your cameras and the videos off. We would respectfully request everyone to mute themselves. And I know how hard this can get with a large Zoom meeting because sometimes we forget, sometimes it accidentally gets turned off. So please mute unless you are a designated speaker. Now, when it is your turn to speak, I will call upon you, and please don't forget to unmute, but we will remind everybody. Just to remind our Class A members. Now, Class A members include members and contributing members who are eligible to vote. Just to let you know that all voting will take place via polls that you see on your screen. It is by secret ballot, so therefore, if you disagree, we will not know who you are. Or if you agree, we will not know who you are either. And for questions, please type questions into the chat. I will be monitoring the chat throughout the meeting. And at any point of time, if it is urgent, if you raise your hand, I will be monitoring both the chat as well as the guest list on the side. So feel free to raise your hand or put a question into the chat. I will try to keep it as respectfully engaging as possible, but I make no promises because I've been told by our timekeepers that we have a time to keep. So with that, we'd like to move on. And I would like to begin by introducing the 2025 board. Again, for those of you who are attending for the first time or who are not familiar with our bylaws, this meeting is the official transition from the 2025 board to the board whom you will shortly be voting in. So our 2025 CSDH board comprises of myself as president, Dr. Paul Romanson as the immediate past president, Dr. Olaf Platzker, Ms. Karol Jakivchuk, Ms. Joan Rush, Ms. Shauna Haichi, Dr. Steve Lipinski, Ms. Lara Timler, Dr. Lindsay James, Ms. Catherine Peddle, and Dr. Motika Singh. And you will be hearing from each of these individuals in the course of this meeting as they present our activities for the year. Now, at this point, I would like to acknowledge our keynote speaker. Ms. Michelle Mahoney, all the way from the Atlantic coast. And this is not a formal introduction. That will be done later. But thank you, Michelle, for taking time to be with us today and for sharing your journey. I will not give away any secrets. I promised I will be brief. So now, at this point, all of you who have registered for the AGM should have received a copy of the minutes of the previous meeting. And at this point, I need someone to propose a motion to approve the minutes of the AGM as circulated.
I motion.
Thank you, Carol. Do I have a seconder?
I second. It's Joan.
Thank you, Joan. And at this point, if there is any person here who does not agree or wishes to have further discussion, could you raise your hand? If not, we could have a vote on the.
Is
Well,
that correct?
I believe it's the wrong poll.
number 4. We need
Yeah.
number 1.
Yeah. So
I think on the thing they were in the reverse order.
what? It's okay. I wouldn't want to adjourn so early, but
You know.
okay. So the poll is now open. Please do vote.
And we'll say goodbye to everybody that wanted to adjourn.
We have more than quorum, and I will give us 10 seconds for any of you who haven't voted to cast a vote or forever hold your peace. Okay, and since I get no, I have one last vote there, and it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And with that, I end the poll. I believe we have a unanimous approval of the first of the minutes. Now, we have also circulated today's agenda, and I know that this is a formality because I don't expect someone to stop us from moving ahead, but it is my pleasure to ask someone to propose a motion to approve the agenda for today's AGM as circulated.
A motion.
Thank you, Lindsay. Do I have a seconder? A formality. Okay, I will. Olaf seconds. Thank you, Olaf, and we can vote now. Thank you. And I have everyone on board who's answered. I believe the poll, the agenda is approved. So with that, we could. Okay.
All right. So I have the great privilege of knowing Michelle as a colleague and friend and introducing her this evening. So as a woman and a person with a visible disability, she has broken through many glass ceilings, including becoming the University of King's College first full-time accessibility officer, leading accessibility change at King's and Dalhousie University. She is, and I quote, unstoppable. After her recent presentation to Dalhousie's Faculty of Dentistry, I was approached by a CSDH member, suggesting that our audience must hear her story, and I couldn't agree more. Michelle, it is always a pleasure to learn from you, and I now invite you to take the stage.
Wow. Oh my goodness, that was really, thank you very much. I'm going to share a PowerPoint and kind of tell my story through PowerPoint, okay? So let me know if I have shared this. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah? Okay. It's the picture of me, right?
Right.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, so I'm so honored to be with you for the Canadian Society for Disability and Oral Health for your AGM. Knowing that this organization brings together dentists, hygienists, researchers, educators, students, and disability advocates, all working toward equitable access to oral health care, makes it especially meaningful for me to speak with you tonight. As someone who has lived experience as someone who has lived experience navigating the healthcare system with a disability, I understand how powerful it is when professionals come together with a shared commitment to inclusion. I'm going to take you on a bit of a journey tonight, one filled with moments of challenge, but also of opportunity, resilience, advocacy, and leadership. I'll share some of the key lessons I've learned, not only through my personal experiences, but through my professional work, supporting students at Dalhousie for over 2 decades, working on national accessibility standards, and now as the first accessibility officer at the University of King's College. You'll hear about Camp to Nish, how a summer camp run by Easter Seals Nova Scotia changed everything for me. You'll hear about my mom, Jackie, my first and fiercest advocate. And you'll hear how healthcare professionals like Dr. Brown, Dr. Amaro, and now Dr. Dunbar have helped me stay mobile and strong, and even helped me retire 2 of these orthopedic surgeons along the way. So I hope you leave tonight with a deeper understanding of accessibility, not as a checklist, but as a mindset, and with a renewed commitment to listen, to advocate, and to lead with compassion. Because people with disabilities can do anything. With the right supports in place, it might just take a little longer to get there. Before I begin, I want to give a special shout out to my mom, Jackie, because I wouldn't be where I am today without her love, strength, and persistence. She's been my biggest advocate, teacher, and supporter, and she still is. She was my champion, educating teachers, advocating for me, helping me find ways to thrive in the world. Without her, I would not be where I am today. And I always will give her the biggest shout out of all. I really want to begin with a story that she loves to tell. It's called Welcome to Holland. I'm not sure if any of you have ever heard this story, but it's a pretty cool story. I love it. I'm often asked to describe the experience of raising a child with a disability, to try to help people who have not shared that unique experience to understand it, to imagine how it would feel. It's like this. When you're going to have a baby, it's like planning a fabulous vacation trip to Italy. You buy a bunch of guidebooks and you make your wonderful plans. The Colosseum, the Michelangelo, the gondolas in Venice. You may learn some handy phrases in Italian. It's all very exciting. After months of eager anticipation, the day finally arrives. You pack your bags and off you go. Several hours later, the plane lands. The stewardess comes in and says, "Welcome to Holland." Holland, you say? What do you mean Holland? I signed up for Italy. I'm supposed to be in Italy. All my life, I've dreamed of going to Italy. But there's been a change in the flight plan. They've landed in Holland, and there you must stay. The important thing is that they haven't taken you to a horrible, disgusting, filthy place full of pestilence, famine, and disease. It's just a different place. So you must go out and buy new guidebooks, and you must learn a whole new language, and you will meet a whole new group of people you would never have met. It's just a different place. It's slower paced than Italy, less flashy than Italy. But after you've been there for a while and you catch your breath, you look around and you begin to notice that Holland has windmills, Holland has tulips, Holland even has Rembrandts. But everyone you know is busy coming and going from Italy, and they're all bragging about what a wonderful time they had there. And for the rest of your life, you will say, yes, that's where I was supposed to go. That's what I had planned. The pain of that will never, ever go away because the loss of that dream is a very significant loss. But if you spend your life mourning the fact that you didn't get to Italy, you may never be free to enjoy the very special, the very lovely things about Holland. That story really resonates deeply with me and my family and has stayed with me because, like many people born with disabilities, my life didn't go according to a guidebook. I was born with arthrogryposis, which is lack of muscles in joints of the body. It is quite rare. In fact, I was only the third known case in Nova Scotia. I have limited mobility in my arms, hands, and knees, and was born with clubbed feet and a dislocated hip. The doctors told my parents I would probably never walk. I was born a twin, and he did not have a disability. When I was 3 months old, my first orthopedic doctor, Dr. Brown, sat my mom down and said that people with this condition lead very normal lives and to treat her like you would a regular kid. We can do some surgeries to repair the birth defects, but again, treat her like a regular kid. And that is exactly how I was raised. I've had a total of 11 surgeries, with my recent right and left hip replacements, the left being as recent as just a year ago. So I'm almost bionic. One time during my many visits to the IWK, they invited me to try out a new walker. This is the picture of the new walker. And apparently I didn't want to have anything to do with this walker. But they asked for a photo for promotional material, and my brother wanted in on the picture because he always got left out of things. And actually, I'm pretty sure that those pants are coming back. My mom said, let me take this home. Let me take the walker home and try it out. If we're in our own surroundings, maybe she might thrive. So I guess I loved it. We got home. I was able to walk to the neighbor's house. I was able to play in the toilet, like young kids do. I'm mortified that I played in the toilet, by the way. When it came, I just can't hear you all because you're all muted because I was thinking, tough crowd here tonight. However,
I want you to know that I'm laughing.
Okay.
That's fabulous.
Good. Okay. I'm in my house talking to myself and I'm like, oh my God, nobody's laughing at anything I'm saying. Cause I love to tell my story with humor because it's the only way, I guess. So when it came time for me to go to school, the school board thought it would be too much for the teachers. So they paid for my mom to come and pick me up every day at lunchtime. And since she picked me up, she also picked up my brother to keep our life as balanced as possible. This lasted about a month before the elementary school teacher lobbied with my mom to arrange to stay at school all day. But in junior and senior high school, my mom would have to go into the school every year and educate the teachers that they would be having a student with a disability in their class that year. I had nobody to advocate for me back then. Or sorry, I had nobody to advocate for me and back then there was nothing. God, these pictures. So I grew up in a big family. I'm the youngest of 5 kids, including a twin brother and 3 sisters. And we grew up in Spring Hill, Nova Scotia. Yes, home of Anne Murray. And yes, I do know her. So, oops, sorry. Can I go back a bit? There we go. There's another picture that we all wore vests to surprise our parents. So when my oldest sister, Patsy, got a summer job at a camp for people with disabilities, she told my mom, oh, Michelle has to go to this camp. This camp was Camp Nish, a fully accessible place run by Easter Seals Nova Scotia, which it was formerly known as Abilities Foundation in Nova Scotia. And we had never heard of this camp, even though it was only about a half an hour away from our house. Unfortunately, sending a child to a summer camp was not a luxury that my family could afford at that time. However, my sister Patsy found out that some children were sponsored by their local Rotary clubs and encouraged our mom to check it out. I feel so fortunate because not only did the Rotary Club of Spring Hill agree to sponsor me for that first summer, but they made it possible for me to attend camp for 9 years. My first trip to camp was very scary because I'd always depended on my mom to help me with everyday personal tasks. It wasn't until later in life that I realized it was equally scary for her, who was always responsible for my needs. But I can tell you from experience that it doesn't take long for a new camper to feel at home at Camp Tadnish. I'll never forget the feeling when you first drive into the parking lot and the staff come barreling out of the main building to welcome you. The campers are all assigned to one of 4 cabins where they share their camping experience with other campers and staff who sleep in the cabin together. The staff get up every morning and support the campers with all aspects of their personal care without hesitance. They seemed eager to help every camper prepare for whatever adventure that day might hold. Campers participated in many activities, including baseball, canoeing, campfires, talent shows, swimming, and even horseback riding. At Camp Tadnish, you learn that you can do anything. Nobody is left out because everything is adapted to the needs of the campers. Eventually, Camp Tadnish became a big part of life for my whole family. All of my sisters worked there. My sister Terry even became the first full-time director, and I even got to be her babysitter for the summer, which meant I got to spend the entire summer at camp. My mom even became the unofficial camp mom, everyone calling her mom, even the campers. So my last summer at camp was the year that I graduated from high school. And I'm not sure about some of the people on this call, but back in the late 80s, early 90s, the higher the hair, the better. So, we had a hole in the ozone layer above my house is what we always said, because we'd go through a lot of hairspray. And so the year I graduated from high school was very scary time for me because I was thinking about the next phase, going to university. And my time at Camp Tadnish did help me prepare for that. I always credited camp for giving me the courage to try new things and the determination to dream big. At Camp Tadnish, you weren't left out because you couldn't do something physically. At Camp Tadnish, you could do everything. So when I left home to go to university, it was then that I realized how much I depended on my mom to help me with everyday simple tasks, such as showering, getting dressed. It was very scary for me. And you know what? She even talked my twin brother into going to St. X my first year to look out for me. Guess what? He didn't want to go there. He wanted to get as far away as possible from me. He was accepted to UNB, was going to go to UNB, but no, my mom asked if he would go to St. X to look out for me, and sure enough, he did, without hesitance. So this was a very scary time for me, and I was often tempted to call it quits and move back home. I adapted, I accepted the challenge, and I graduated from St. X University in May 1995 with what I like to refer to as a Bachelor of Arts with the major in independence. My academic marks were horrible, but the life lessons I learned were invaluable. St. X was not an accessible campus, not even close, but they did what they could, and I learned how to advocate for myself. I learned how to live on my own, manage my care, and face daily barriers head on. And for that, I am proud. I also have a few family members with X-rings. So after graduating from university, I lived at home for a year got a short-term position at the Nova Scotia Teachers College in Truro, and I traveled from Spring Hill to Truro every day. I applied for social assistance and then moved to Halifax because I wanted to build a life and career just as my peers were doing. It was hard in the beginning, just trying to gain meaningful employment, unable to find a paying job for 2.5 years. I dedicated myself to volunteering at the information desk at the IWK, which gave me purpose. I was able to give back to this wonderful hospital that changed my life. I volunteered at the telethon every year. I volunteered at the 24-hour relay, which was an organization through Easter Seals. While I was unemployed and living on social assistance, I had a job developer whose job was to place me in a wage subsidized position. She placed me at Dalhousie University on a 6-month contract where the university paid half of my wages and the government paid the other half. This gave me experience working at a lesser cost to an organization. I started my career at Dalhousie University on February the 15th, 1999. After that program, the university hired me. So in total, I worked in 6 different departments and 6 different buildings at Dalhousie. I went from the oldest building on campus to the newest building on campus. The jobs that I did at Dalhousie were mostly administrative jobs or reception jobs. And then one of the departments that I worked at was at the School of Occupational Therapy. It didn't take me long to realize how much this job was suited for me. I had a lot of experience with occupational therapists growing up, and getting involved with the School of Occupational Therapy really put me back on track with my independence. Because all my life I wanted to learn how to drive a car. And on the advice from an occupational therapist at the school, I looked into the driver assessment program at the Nova Scotia Rehab. The first step was to get my family doctor to fill out a form so I could get into the program. And since I was requiring my license to drive to work, it got me in a little quicker. I took the driver assessment program and I passed. I was proven fit to drive with assistive devices, one of those being a spinner knob for the steering wheel. I wanted to take a driving program to learn how to properly drive, and I chose Young Drivers of Canada. Although I really do think they need to have a middle-aged Drivers of Canada program for the people who are middle-aged drivers of Canada, because the Young Drivers of Canada, I was the oldest person in the class. They are teaching, they're really, really pushing, drinking and driving is not cool. And I was mid-30s, so I was all set. Anyway, I do think they need to have a program for middle-aged drivers of Canada. So the training took a while, and I took a break during the winter months, but I was fortunate to have a great instructor, and he was really accommodating to my needs. The car was not equipped with assistive devices, so there were a few things that he had to assist me with, such as shifting and helping me with my seatbelt. And he even went to Canadian Tire and put together a jig so that I could reach the blinkers with my left hand. We adapted well with what we had to work with. I completed a few lessons with him, but then I stopped for a while because I knew I had to purchase a car and get some experience. I was in touch with Lawton's Home Healthcare, where I was able to meet with someone who specializes in modifications to cars. We then searched for a car that would best be suited for me. We visited a Honda and Toyota dealerships and realized that tilted and telescopic steering were definitely the best option for me. It was so exciting to be looking for a car for me. And at the end of the day, we had it narrowed down to a Honda Civic and a Toyota Matrix. A few weeks later, we actually went back to the Honda dealership, and the dealer allowed me to take the Civic for a test drive. My situation was very unique in that I didn't have a lot of experience driving because I didn't have a car equipped for my needs. I didn't have my own car equipped for my needs because I didn't have a lot of driving experience. So it was a catch-22 situation. So after working out the legal details and a few visits back to the Honda dealership, I drove away on August 28th, 2009, in my brand new silver 4-door Honda Civic. I then began learning how to drive my car. After gaining some experience, I realized that I didn't require a lot of modifications after all. I just really needed experience. I kept practicing and practicing, and I got better and more confident in my abilities. I finished my lessons with Young Drivers of Canada and completed their program. But when I went to do my road test, the original driving assessment from the rehab stated that I needed a spinner knob for the steering wheel. I was able to prove to the medical records department that through my driving experience, we realized that the spinner knob was no longer required. And on November 20th, 2009, I took my road test. My evaluator told me it was a pleasure driving with me and that I am a safe driver. I passed. I am now able to drive myself to work, go out with my friends, visit my family, and I can do all of this for myself, by myself. Here's a photo of some of the modifications in my car. So in total, it took me 1.5 years to achieve this goal, and I am so proud of myself for this accomplishment. I've proven to myself that with time, patience, and a little perseverance, I can achieve anything I want. Oh yeah, so I got married. I met my husband in the basement of the Killam Library. We worked together in the same department. So this is Chris. And from me to the left is all of my family, immediate family. And from me to the right is all of my husband, Chris's family. And then this is my very first orthopedic doctor, Dr. Brown, came to my wedding. So I was so very humbled that he came to my wedding. It was just the best thing ever. So one day, back in 2016, I signed up for a really cool event called Drop Zone. Not only would I get to help support programs at Easter Seals, Nova Scotia, like Camp to Nish, but I would also get to jump off a 23-story building. Let me tell you, jumping off that building was quite possibly the coolest thing I had ever done thus far, but I think I've topped it since, so stay tuned. I was able to talk so passionately about Camp to Nish when I would ask people for sponsors, and I raised a lot of money for Easter Seals, Nova Scotia. I went on to participate in Drop Zone 3 more times. So here I am on the far left of, you could see 1801, and I am actually hanging on the left side of that pillar underneath the 18. And then on the picture on the right, that is me being lowered by the Tacton guys. And then here's a picture of my other 3 times. So not long after that first Drop Zone event, I was approached by the president and CEO of Easter Seals Nova Scotia at the time, who asked if I would like to become a member of the board of directors. I was completely and truly honored to be asked. Once again, it has given me the opportunity to give back to help raise awareness about the wonderful programs that Easter Seals provides. I am a very active board member, and I am also the provincial representative for the National Board of Canada. It feels so great to be able to give something back to an organization that has done so much for me. I have come full circle. I am able to give a firsthand account about what Easter Seals Nova Scotia does and the impact they have on people living with disabilities. In 2017, I was asked and honored to speak when Nova Scotia announced its Accessibility Act. That was a turning point, not just for policy, but for people. For the first time, we are saying publicly that accessibility is not optional, it's a right. So here were a few things that I mentioned. I said I always appreciate being invited to speak on the subject of accessibility to help bring awareness to how important it is to someone like me who lives with a physical disability. Barrier-free and accessibility were not hot topics when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s. Although I went to a regular school, my mom had to educate my teachers every year about having a student with a disability in their class and what I would need. After high school, I attended St. FX University, and it wasn't an overly accessible campus at the time. However, the university bent over backwards to accommodate my needs. Despite their efforts, I still faced barriers every day. I realized accessibility at post-secondary institutions wasn't just an issue that affected students. Just to give you some examples, some of the barriers I experienced at both universities included classrooms with stairs, stadium seating with pull-up desks, an accessible entry into buildings, inaccessible professor offices, door handles into classrooms, doors being very heavy, heights of chairs and tables or desks, flooring, snow removal at corners of crosswalks, professors and managers not being overly comfortable with interacting or dealing with people of different abilities. And that's just to name a few. Another example is when you enter the Student Union building at Dalhousie University, there's an accessible button. That accessible button is to open the accessible door, the accessible button is located on the far right of the building. And the door that opens for you is 2 doors to your left, and it opens towards you. If you are slow moving, it's going to close on you. I've actually talked to the Senate at Dalhousie in 2018 about this, and it's still not fixed. Everyone should have equal opportunities to be able to learn and grow, both in their education and their professional life. I sat on many committees at Dalhousie to begin this work with people from other universities in the province. I know what it's like to be a student going to university, then as an employee with a disability working at a university. I live it every day, and I want to help educate and advocate for an accessible institution where everyone belongs. I am lucky to have such a supportive employer and to live in a province where our government has committed to making accessibility a priority by ensuring the legislation is carried out and that we have an accessible province by 2030. I look forward to a future where people like me won't need to worry about barriers or need to advocate what should be basic. We built an accessible home 8 years ago. I am an avid downhill skier. I am high performance adaptive. Oh, I attended this. This is pictures from a high performance adaptive water ski training camp in Florida. I'm a water skier and I'm a surfer. All adaptive programming. How cool is that? So I was invited to speak. I was invited to Montreal actually to speak to Air Canada Senior Staff Summit in January last year. So January 2024, I was there to talk about accessibility and travel. 2 things with a deep connection that is often overlooked. I was joined by Canada's Chief Accessibility Officer, Stephanie Cadeau, featured in this photo on the left, who shared one of her travel experiences, arriving at a destination only to find that her wheelchair had been left behind. It's such a powerful reminder that for many of us, accessibility isn't a luxury or a convenience. It's dignity, independence, and autonomy. A wheelchair is not a set of golf clubs. During my talk, I focused on something much smaller, but just as vital: straws on airplanes. It seems like a small detail, but for someone with a physical disability, A straw can make or break the ability to stay hydrated or enjoy a meal. I use a straw for every drink: coffee, tea, beer, wine, water, milk, you name it. If you serve a meal on a flight, you provide a fork. If you serve a drink, there should be a straw. For me, a straw is as essential as a fork is for someone else. That conversation led to something even bigger. Air Canada invited me to participate in a pilot project to help them select accessible straws for in-flight service. They mailed me 21, yes, 21 individually wrapped straws in 21 separate envelopes, along with a spreadsheet to test and rank each one. I teamed up with a colleague, took this very seriously. Together, we tested them with hot and cold beverages. We let them sit in liquids to see how they would hold up, and we rated them on performance. So after lots of sipping, soaking, and spreadsheeting, I submitted my top 5. Thanks to that work and the dedication of people working behind the scenes on policies and protocols, I'm proud to share that as of November 19th, 2024, which I realized is a year ago today, straws are now available on Air Canada flights. It may seem small, but it means so much. And I am incredibly proud to have played a part in making that happen. Whoops, sorry. So today, I serve as the Accessibility Officer at the University of King's College. This is my dream job that I received late 2022 and started January 2023. I help create spaces where students and staff with disabilities feel seen, heard, and included. I've worked with government, libraries, health organizations, universities, and even my dentist office to improve access across systems. I've done local work with Easter Seals Nova Scotia and national work with Easter Seals Canada. I've assessed emergency shelters, transition houses, and university campuses for accessibility. It's complex, often frustrating, and always evolving, but I believe in this work deeply. And at every table I sit at, I try to bring 2 things: lived experience and the hope that comes from knowing change is possible. I've seen institutions shift. I've seen students thrive. I've seen people move from "we've never done that before" to "how can we do better?" That transformation is powerful. I also helped coordinate the Disability Lecture Series at King's last year, an initiative that brings researchers, artists, and community members together to rethink disability in higher education. I completed the Rick Hansen Foundation Accessibility Certification Program in 2021, and I'm nationally certified to rate buildings for accessibility. And I was honored to be featured in Janice Landry's book, Every Little Thing, where my story is told in full in chapter 4. But this story, my story, isn't just about me. It's about what becomes possible when people with disabilities are supported, included, and believed in. We still have a long way to go. Barriers, physical, social, and attitudinal, are still part of everyday life for people with disabilities. But change is happening. People with disabilities are just people. They might look different, use a wheelchair or crutches, but that is their way of getting around and their support to function in this world. People with disabilities do not come with a book of instructions. You figure it out as you go. People with disabilities can do anything. With the right supports in place, it might just take a little longer to get there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michelle. That was inspiring. And I know that this was silent, but I hope you saw all the little claps that were coming your way. I'm sure they were not Mine won the only set of slightly moistened eyes during your presentation. So thank you so much. I am looking at the chat and everyone seems to be dumbstruck for the moment. So I'm just going to let everyone process it for a second and then we'll open it up to questions. Did anyone have any questions?
I'm curious when working with the dental office, what your recommendations were.
So the my dentist is Lowen Dentistry.
Hmm.
And they've moved to a new location.
Yes.
They have a secondary location. Um, they have this fancy smancy, very fancy smancy coffee maker, and they bubbly and they have like beverages while you wait. So I told them they need to have straws. And they said, "Oh, never even thought of that." So they're getting straws. One of the things about their new office is there's a curb the entire length in front of the storefront, and there are a couple of other stores in front of that as well. And I I'm just trying to I was working with them and seeing if there's any way that, can anything be done because there's only one curb cut at the far end of the building. And I even picture this man coming along with his walker because there's also a Guardian pharmacy there. And I picture this man going to the pharmacy to pick up his prescription and pressing the accessible button and backing up and falling off the curb. So it's also the same thing at the dentist office. So I also gave them feedback in their new washroom because their washroom like is as big as my master bedroom. It's so so I just gave them some feedback on the things like that. Yeah, it's a great facility. They have a really but and just to share where I go to where I was going to my current dentist at the professional center, before I would go to their second location, I always had to take parking into consideration, and I could bank on this one accessible parking spot. And if that accessible parking spot was not available, then I would have to, I can't take so with my disability, I can't take a parking, like a ticket to park in an underground parkade. So I would go and park my car um at the entrance to the parkade, call the dentist office, somebody would come down and take a ticket for me so that I could park in underground parking. So it just, but I work with my like I have to advocate for myself. So going to the dentist, those are the things that I need to think of ahead of time is where am I going to park? And if that only that one accessible spot that I can bank on the street is not available, what do I do?
Mhm.
Thank you, Michelle. I have Dr. Drew Smith with his hands up. Drew, go for it.
Hi, Michelle. A wonderful presentation. I'm a fellow Zavarian who
Oh,
is
do you have
from,
your X-ray? Do you have an X-ray?
I do, I don't have it on right now, so sorry. I'm from Antigonish, so I'm a townie.
A townie.
I'm a
When did you
townie.
go to St.
Yeah,
X?
yeah.
When did you graduate?
And I graduated supposed to was graduated in 1990, but I left early to go to dental school. So I actually went back to St. FX, not back to St. FX, but back to continue my education. So I graduated in 2012.
2012. Wow.
I was deeply involved with the St. FX Alumni Association, which are always involved with people like you who
Okay.
like to hear our alumni. So you had mentioned that there were very little accommodations on campus when you graduated. So tell me what has changed on campus at St. FX, if you do know.
So I lived at Lane Hall, which to everyone else, Lane Hall is not there anymore. It was a residence that they tore down a couple of years ago. But just to go to like to the meal hall, there's stairs, and I'm not, it's been a little bit since I've been to St. FX. So, I was actually on another call today with people that did they did an audit of the new Mulrooney building and talked about the wall, like the wooded framing on the wall, and how, like sometimes um like color contrast can be really difficult for people, with a visual impairment, or like a low, like a, if low vision, and so things like that, like there's a lot of things that really need to be taken into consideration with when doing things like that. The wall color to the floor color to to door color to elevator color. You know what I mean? Color contrast is just really needs to be present, and so that's just because I just heard that story today. But it's been a minute since I've been back to St. FX. I was there last summer. I went shopping at the bookstore, of course, because you always have to pick up some St. FX swag. Just since my hip replacements and stuff, I can't really do stairs anymore. So, knowing what I know now and thinking back to being a student, like, oh my God, I remember, living at Lane Hall and going to Morrison Hall for a meal was like 75 stairs down one way. And I think of, they talk about students in their first year gaining weight. Well, guess what? I didn't, because I had walked downstairs 50, 75 stairs one way down. And it might be a little less than 75. I think I might be exaggerating, but you know what? I know you know what I mean, Drew, because of living at Upper Campus. But really, I mean, they really did like, so back when I was a student living at Lane Hall, like the people came, I think it was Maritime Talent. Seriously, I'm aging myself here, but Maritime Talentel came and installed. We didn't have phones in our rooms. We didn't have cell phones back then. So our only means of talking to our family was at a payphone. So that Maritime Talentel, I think who they were at the time, came and lowered the payphone. I didn't ask them to do that. They just did it. Like somebody must have advocated for me, but like, so I could call my mom, and like I'd have to lean on the side of the glass or of the part of the phone or whatever, but somebody came and did that for me, and my second, third, and fourth year, I lived at Lane Hall on the first floor, and I had the suite on the first floor, so I had my own bathroom. And so they really did what they could for me, and people were so good to me, and I've always wanted to go back to St. FX, and because I am so proud of my accomplishment of, like, my biggest, I think that has been my biggest challenge, was that experience going to St. FX, because I could tell you some more personal stories about that, but I know time and stuff. However, I've shared so many times my stories about St. FX and how it really has made me independent. And I want to have an opportunity to talk to an alumni organization, or so if you want to plug me, that'd be great. I really do want to spread how St. FX was part of that for me.
So, Michelle, I'm glad that you actually asked me to plug you, because I have been involved with the St. FX Alumni Association on a pretty significant basis. So I'm more than happy to plug you, whether it's through me or through my family, who are deeply involved as well. So happy to do that. If you'd like to send me your information
Oh yeah, sure.
after this, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Drew. Thank you, Michelle. And with this, I will call on our secretary, Carol Yakivchuk, to propose the formal vote of thanks to our keynote speaker. So, Carol, it's all yours.
Thank you, Sharat. really, Michelle, thank you for your absolutely excellent presentation. And sharing your lived experience was so powerful. Honestly, every oral health professional out there, probably across the world, but let's just shrink it back to just Canada, needs to listen and learn from everything you talk about. At CSDH, we're really working to increase, and support people's oral health care and quality of oral health care. And a big part of it is just accessibility. And I've been in many dental offices over the years, auditing and see that there's no elevator or there's the bump as soon as you open the door. And, it's just mobility becomes a real challenge for people. They can't get in. The operatories are too small. But aside from that, I'd like to put a plug in through CDHA, the Dental Hygiene Association, and the Dental Association. And, I think we can get you a lot of speaking gigs if you
Well,
want them.
Well, and the thing is, Carol, and I know you're closing out. I'm sorry, I don't want to take any more of your time because I know you all have such a busy lives. But education is so important, and not only that, like have conversations with your patients, and what's going to work best for you, and because they're the experts, right? They're the experts in their own lived experience. So, if somebody calls an office and they say that, they're in a wheelchair, well, greet them at the door, make them feel like they are the only person there and that they matter, because sometimes, and it's the whirlwind of the day and and it's, the everything is so rushed these days and but like when it comes to doing things, like I have a schedule, like I need to follow that schedule. I need to, I need to allot time for parking and getting in and out of my car. Is not like that's a 5 minute process, and so I like it when people can appreciate that and bathrooms in dentist office. There's another thing too. I could write a book on bathrooms, by the way. But anyway, whole other conversation, whole other profession too, right? Sorry.
Well, I'm sure I speak for everyone here in attendance tonight that, I'm absolutely in awe of you, your positivity, your self-advocacy and leadership, not to mention your impressive commitment to give back. That's just so amazing. You've proven that anyone living with a disability can do anything, can be anyone, and that change is possible. Sorry.
Oh,
You
thank
stated
you.
how important it is to be supported, included, and believed in.
Yeah.
And we at CSDH thank you from the bottom of our hearts, and we'll continue and carry that torch forward too.
Thank you so much, Carol. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me. Oh my goodness.
You.
I'm really
No,
truly
Michelle,
honored.
thank you. And I can assure you there are quite a few not so dry eyes on the not video part of here. I mean, you have touched us all, and we hope to become better professionals thanks to you. So really thank you, and thank you for taking time out. And also thank you, Shauna, for bringing Michelle to speak to us.
Thank you, Sean.
So thank you. All right. So that brings us to the year in review. What have we been doing? So, last AGM, we set out with a set of goals, and these were our top priorities: to ensure smooth transition to the next generation of leaders, to launch a unique CSDH lecture series, an open mic platform, establish student chapters, assist with Special Olympics, and continue collaboration with disability communities. And I will not go too much into each of these, but I feel we have not wholly or in full measure, but substantially achieved quite a few of these goals. And in the interest of time, I will delve straight to our chairs. And I'd like to begin by inviting Ms. Joan Rush, the chair of our advocacy committee, to present what the advocacy committee has been up to.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for being here, giving us your Wednesday night. But on the other hand, I have to say, this is talk about a hard act to follow. The presentation, Michelle, was absolutely beautiful. I just want to say that you belong with us quite a bit. Shauna brought you to the right group because some of the things you've talked about, they resonate because I've heard them from our board members, in particular the issue of oh my goodness, I'm sorry, that stupid clock. Can you still hear me talking? I've got a wall clock here. There we go. Uh, the issue of the oral health professionals listening to the patients to determine what they really need. I've never heard, I think, a more ardent advocate for that than our outgoing Paul Romanson, Dr. Paul Romanson, who still lectures in university to say that, but sort of drilled that into me as well, that that's something that we should be asking for from everyone in community, that we listen hard. So I am inspired. I see so many people on the call who throughout my advocacy have inspired me. Thank you for being here, Sherry Saunderson. There are many people I've already recognized. Uh, I don't know if she's still with us, but Chantal Sredniko. People are inspiring. Clyde Freeman, of course, but um, I particularly have been inspired by the work of the advocacy committee members who've given a lot. I will recognize each of you, but I want to particularly thank two newer members, David Alexandre Bosset from Quebec, who joined us this year. And we've been really blessed with the addition this year of Dr. Peter Cooney, who many of you in oral healthcare will know was the first original chief dental officer for Canada and set the precedent for how the chief dental officer's office should act on behalf of all of the public. So my sincere thanks to Dr. Ruby Pudani, who remains a member, Dr. Lena Jung, Dr. Ian McConaughey, Professor Shora Naibali Tolumalo, Dr. Shrat Pani, who's an ex officio member, Dr. Olaf Plotsky, who's been so instrumental in our work, Dr. Paul Romanson, Dr. Mohan Tikasing, and Dr. Alicia Thatcher, who's a medical doctor, but has been inspiring to me as well on our issue of trying to coordinate medical and uh, uh, dental oral health care. So if I could go to the next slide, please. So I've left it that you can read yourself what their training is, but as you probably could tell from the last slide, we are blessed with a lot of expertise on the advocacy committee. So what did we work on? We continued, I've repeated this because it's the same thing we did last year, but it's true. We continued to advocate for our organization to meet the needs of people living with disabilities by ensuring a focus on achieving and maintaining overall health, including oral health care that is evidence-informed and tailored to meet a patient's individual oral health needs. So, as Michelle has recommended, we do try to ensure that everything we ask for is informed to meet individual patients, not to slot a whole group within a certain expectation. So to carry out that work, the CSDH, many of our board members, but specifically our advocacy committee, met and spoke with representatives from Statistics Canada, the Auditor General for Canada, the Oral Health Branch of the Federal Ministry of Health, and other groups as well. But those have really informed our work concerning the need for the CDCP data information to better understand the impact of CDCP and see if it is making a positive difference, if it's reaching the everyone on the spectrum of individuals who live with disabilities. So we agreed this year, through the help actually of David Alexandre, who's a member of the Autism Alliance, to coordinate with Autism Alliance to promote improved oral health for persons on the spectrum. And we are going to hold a presentation in Ottawa next April we'll coordinate it with the Canadian Autism Leadership Summit, and we will look at the issues of CDCP data, what it can tell us, what more we need to do, and on oral health education, and the need for. I think I can't agree more with Michelle, who stresses the need for education. So we will focus on those two topics during the Canadian Autism Leadership Summit in Ottawa. So we continue to work on the issue this year of approval of dental anesthesia as a specialty. So I was pleased to see Jun Ji on the call. We worked very hard. Particularly, I was grateful for the support of Dr. Plotsky when we first began working to advocate for approval of DA across Canada. He was then president, and we got a lot of attention in trying to ensure we don't, as a society, of course, assume everyone should be completely anesthetized. We recommend always to have as much treatment given as possible to meet the comfort needs of a patient, but are in accordance with those. But for those individuals who do need general anesthesia, they need to have access promptly. And so we've always supported dental anesthesia. And as of this last August, all Canadian dental regulators confirm that it's either approved in their jurisdiction or being approved. And so now the Commission on Dental Accreditation is creating and developing a standard for accrediting DA. So in terms of oral health research, 4 of our CSDH Advocacy Committee members sit on the Citizens Advisory Board for the Canadian Institutes of Health Research Network for Oral Health Research, including Drs. Cooney, Plotsky, McConaughey, and myself. 4 Canadian faculties of dentistry have agreed to participate in a CIHR Team Connect Development Research grant application. So we are blessed to have on our board now Dr. Rama Balkan to work on that project together with support from Shauna and Dr. Cooney and Sharat Pani and other people who have that expertise. And finally, in the area of oral health education, we agree with Michelle, it must be incorporated into undergraduate and specialist dental programs. And so during this year, we've met with a number of the deans of dentistry, and we will include the issue of mandated special care training as an element of Canadian undergraduate and graduate oral health programs. And we believe that it's necessary to do that to ensure compliance with Canadian human rights laws and the Declaration on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, which all Canadian jurisdictions have ratified. So that's been the work of the Advocacy Committee this year. And so if you would like to add more, and if you don't belong to us yet, please feel free to put your hand up. We would love to have you. So thank you. I will now pass off to Sunil, Dr. I'm sorry, I keep on getting it wrong, but it is Dr. Sunil who will talk about fellowship.
Hello, everybody. Our fellowship committee is quite a young committee. This is the first year that we've been working towards fleshing out the fellowship that was initially created last year. So we have some really dedicated members, as you can see. From our group there, we include dental hygienists and a number of different dentists with backgrounds in this whole area. Now, our focus of our committee is towards developing the fellowship, and the fellowship is designed to identify and recognize oral health professionals with advanced knowledge and abilities to work with people living with disabilities. And we're also looking for them to show a demonstrated commitment to working with people with disabilities. Now, these are the values that basically are guiding our work: inclusivity, validity, and reliability. Now, the inclusivity part is a little bit more challenging in the sense that we're creating a fellowship for all oral health professionals. It's the same fellowship, and we feel quite strongly about that. So we're looking at shared abilities among the different oral health professions in supporting people living with disabilities. Now, from my understanding, from what we've looked at the literature, our fellowship is unique in that regard because it does focus across the board of oral health professionals. There are several fellowships that our organizations have a fellowship for dental hygiene and dental assisting, not dental assisting, dentistry and dental hygiene, but they have different application processes that are more specific to an individual kind of profession. Now, basically, what we've been trying to develop is a prior learning assessment and recognition kind of process for this fellowship. And so some of the things that we've been looking at, if I can have the next slide. These are all the things that we've been working with. On the left-hand side, you see the May 2024 guide. Now that was developed by a working group, and we'd like to acknowledge the work of Jody Rancourt and Ellen Wu and Dr. Clive Friedman as well. And they were instrumental in creating a foundation for this fellowship. And then we also went to the literature to see what we could glean with regard to, particularly in the area of abilities, to flesh out the actual fellowship. And then in the central part, you'll see all the things that we've been working on, eligibility, the abilities, the evidence, the assessment, and then we have the protocols and ultimately the platform that is going to be created in order to actually implement this fellowship. Now, on your right-hand side, you'll see the Dalhousie study. And so what we decided to do was actually create a study to finalize the ability statements, to actually have a formal research component. So probably a lot of you were invited to the survey, and now what we're at is the focus group part of that study. And thanks to Tracy, I'm sorry, Tracy Doyle, she was the one that took our submission through Dalhousie to go through their ethics board. And we're just in the process of actually finishing that. We're sort of in the middle of the study, and we'll be able to, in the future, hopefully we'll share that through a published manuscript in some journal. But we've been working very hard on the abilities, and the challenging part, as we've been discussing, is focusing on the shared abilities that are among all the oral health professions. And then the other piece that we have is obviously the assessment piece, and that is going to be quite complex as well, because we're assessing applicants from across the health professions. And we've also been very fortunate. Tracy also has some connections, and she has a friend by the name of Troy DeBarris, and he is actually a digital transformation architect and a software developer who specializes in human-centered solutions. And he's going to assist us with the actual development of the platform. And because he's a friend of Tracy's, we're going to get a nice deal at the same time. So we're very happy about that, because that was a big gap that we were looking at. But we've been working very hard on this. And then next year, in this upcoming year, what we're hoping to do is actually, what we call it is adding a little bit more color to the fellowship, like fleshing out all the different components. And so we're going to finalize the abilities. We're going to develop an assessment instrument to help evaluate the candidates across the different professions. And then we're going to finalize all the protocols, and as well work with Troy Desbarres in establishing that platform, and hopefully basically having the fellowship come together. Now, whether we can accomplish that in 2026 is difficult to say, because all these things end up taking a little bit more time. But certainly, I think by the end of next year, we'll be well on our way, and probably at the point where we can start piloting the fellowship. And we look to all of you to perhaps volunteer for some of that pilot phase, because we do need to get a sense of how everything is going to come together and how things are going to shape out for the individual candidates. So I hope that you'll keep keep aware of what's happening and that you're interested in participating, maybe not in the pilot phase, but in the long run. And so we're very happy with what we've accomplished to date, and we hope to do more this upcoming year. So thank you for listening, and I will now pass it on to Dr. Lindsay James and the Education Committee.
Thank you, and hi, everyone. Just want to say thank you to the Education Committee. We have a variety of oral health professionals on our committee that bring unique experiences in education. And so thanks to everyone for all your work this year. Next slide. So this past year, the Education Committee partnered with the College of Dental Hygienists of Ontario to create continuing education modules that were related to managing patients with disabilities. So as an Education Committee, we were tasked with providing the content for these modules, and we worked with CDHO to develop these modules, which are now available on their website. Basically, it's a learning tool for all of their members to be able to enhance their education surrounding managing patients with disabilities. CDHO has also allowed us at CSDH to have access to these modules. So they've been made available on the CSDH website as well. So accessible for everyone to use. And they really are generalized, so they can be used for all oral health professionals. So a great resource. As many of you probably participated in last year, thanks to Paul Romanson heading the project, we had successful completion of the first year of our lecture series, the Beyond Barriers Enhancing Oral Health Care lecture series, which is going to continue this year, and we already have plans in the make for 2027 as well. So our first lecture for 2026 will be in January. And this year's lecture series will have 5 guest speakers. Last year, we had a live in-person session, which was held at Western University. And this year, it's actually going to be held at Dalhousie, so it'll be made available to students and faculty. So more to come on that. Next slide. So plans for 2026. So as a committee, we continue to try to provide educational opportunities to our members through initiatives such as the lecture series. So we'll be continuing with that next year. And then we'd like to continue to partner with different oral health organizations, such as we have in the past with CDHO, to help to improve access to educational resources throughout the country and beyond. We'd like to continue to collaborate with educational institutions to ensure improvement in our oral health care or oral health professional curriculums. And we'd like to continue to improve our educational resources for all CSDH members. And with that, I'll pass it along to Drew.
Drew, you're muted.
Thank you, Ola. I think that Sherrod said that was going to happen earlier today. So thank you, Lindsay. The Student Representation Committee, we've been busy this year. Once again, we're a small but mighty group, and we are growing with each passing month. We're building the foundation of the CSDH from the bottom up. This year, we've had a change in the chair position with Professor Timler stepping down as chair, but continuing as committee member. She's taking on new responsibilities with the Right Clinic, which is pretty a spectacular position. And she's also continuing her efforts at Fanshawe College as a full-time dental hygiene professor. Thank you, Professor Timler, for your leadership and your continued guidance on this committee. We welcomed a new member onto the committee this fall, Dr. Ali Ardestani, a recently graduated general dentist here in London, and he has got a special talent for social media, and he's proven valuable already. So can't wait for your continued involvement, Ali. It's going to be spectacular. And finally, and you're going to hear her name a number of times during this presentation, we are extremely fortunate to have Miss Sophia Sidhu on our committee. Her boundless energy and enthusiasm is matched by her talent and passion in her leadership roles with Special Olympics and curriculum developed at Fanshawe. She is spectacular. Next slide, please. To say this has been an exciting year so far is to understate it. We have our student membership increasing quite nicely for the last 12 months. It's been spectacular. But even more exciting than that is the number of student chapters has more than doubled. So we've gone from Western, Fanshawe, and Dalhousie to adding UBC, University of Montreal, and I wish I could say that better, because when I talk to the leaders at Université de Montréal, they say it so nicely. University of Manitoba, McGill University, University of Alberta are joining us with student chapters. So we're incredibly excited about that. Now, we need to actually make sure that we add a few more chapters from our faculties and many more chapters from our dental hygiene schools and our dental assisting schools. So slide 3, this highlights an amazing group of student leaders from across the country. And look at these folks. What a great group of sharp minds and big hearts. They give so much to this art society. It's pretty awesome. They take time out from their studies and from their clinical responsibilities. It's truly amazing. These leaders are supported by their and it's not just these leaders. So these are the champions, or not the champions, but these are the presidents of their chapters. But these presidents are supported by their respective student leadership teams, and it's nice to see so many of our future colleagues to have such a passion to learn about caring for people living with disability. Sorry, to go back for just a couple of minutes. Thank you, Barbara. It's truly heartening to experience the excitement that they have in promoting the mission of CSDH. And I will tell you this, I've talked to each and every one of these people, and spectacular people, and they love to be involved. Now, here's a couple of testimonials from our student leaders. Working with CSDH at Western has strengthened my belief in holistic, patient-centered, and given me the opportunity to learn from aspiring clinicians who embody these values. And I should have said patient-centered care. The next one was being a member of CSDH has been deeply meaningful to me as someone who's always been passionate about caring for individuals with special healthcare needs. I feel very fortunate to be part of this initiative, gaining the knowledge and expertise to provide effective, empathetic care for people living with disability and to inspire others to do the same. I would say based on this, it appears that the student chapters are having a positive impact. And I would also say that, these people are going to go on to become our members and leaders in the future. So I think that the future is bright. And I would also like to extend a great big thank you to Jared and Adam and Jillian and Shubhang, Jolene, Annika, Patricia, and Stephanie for giving all of your time when you're so busy in your clinical activities and your educational activities. And it's amazing. These people are, anywhere from second to fourth year, pretty amazing leaders. So we're thankful to have them in the CSDH. Next slide, please, Barbara. And my gosh, not only do we have a really good group of dental students who are representing us.
You can turn your video on. Just like flip it so that it's.
We have a really good group of dental leaders representing us. So the SRC, we've been busy recruiting faculty from coast to coast. I've mentioned that we've gone from 3 to like 9 chapters, and we've been thrilled with the willingness of our colleagues to get involved. Our faculty leaders are a talented group of academicians and clinicians with a wealth of experience in caring for people living with disability, as well as being leaders in advocacy and education. So you will see across both lines, you'll see dentists and dental specialists, dental hygienists, you'll see academicians, you'll see people who are leading in general practice residencies, people who are department chairs at pediatric dental departments, as well as I mean, the list goes on. It's a pretty spectacular group of people. And I'd like to thank all of our faculty champions for stepping forward to help guide our students in the mission. And I can't wait to welcome more people in here. And I look forward to our future collaboration. So, Barbara, next. So here we are. We've got the Dalhousie group, and they are standing in my alma mater and our speaker's alma mater too. This is at St. FX at the Special Olympics Summer Games at St. FX this past summer. So the recent activities of Dalhousie chapter, I mean, they have been spectacular over the years. They've had healthy athletes dental screening at Dal Dental School. They had oral health outreach, dental Prescott group, special smiles, dental screening. And again, they did the Special Olympics Summer Games as well. Upcoming events, I mean, they're always so good at putting together events. More healthy athlete screening, panel discussion with pediatric dentist and anesthesiologist at the IWK hospital, the motion ball event, and another outreach group at Prescott group. Next slide, please. Here's our Fanshawe chapter. You'll see Professor Lara Timler towards the right, and our SRC committee member who's so important to us, Sophia Sidu, on the right as well. They've done recent activities. They've done the oral hygiene educational session with the Special Olympics volleyball team. Pretty spectacular. They attended the neurobiology of safe care lecture with Clyde Friedman in London, along with the Western students. Pretty awesome lecture. I was there. The amount of information in that lecture was almost mind-boggling. Most recently, they participated in the standardized patient activity in Toronto at CADH, and that was coordinated by Sophia. And upcoming events include oral hygiene education with the Ontario Special Olympics volleyball team, and providing oral hygiene education sessions with developmental classes at local high schools. So they're deeply involved here in our community, and that really makes me happy. Here is the Western group. They attended 3 lectures this past year, including, again, Dr. Clive Freeman's Neurobiology of Safe Care. We also had one of our new faculty champions, Dr. Keith De Silva, present combining clinical care, research, and advocacy to break down barriers for children living with disability. I'm always interested in actually being able to share this knowledge with all of our chapters. So we're working on better collaboration with regards to that. Dr. Sharat Pani and Ola Platska speaking on special care for the general dentist, what you need when you graduate. And this is that group. And look at that group. There's Sherrod at the very front. And if you look to the very far right, you can see Dr. Olaf giving his approving nod. But look at how many dental students we have there. I think that's pretty spectacular. Now, coming up this year will be a combined standardized patient event with the Fanshawe students, an American Sign Language seminar, and a seminar with the pediatric dentist. So next slide, please. Thank you, Barbara. So, this is pretty amazing when you think of what this young person has done. And I'm talking about, once again, Sophia Sidhu. The primary goal of the student chapters is to advocate for the curriculum that will prepare students upon graduation to treat patients with disability and special care needs. In a recent analysis, revealed that classroom-based instruction is probably the most common, but not the best. So it's pretty amazing that she's taken on an active role to affect change in the curriculum at our oral health care programs across Canada. And this is through the CSDH. She has created a standardized patient protocol. And by the way, we're not claiming for anything that she's done because this is all on her behalf, or at least the very most of it's on her behalf. She's created a standardized patient protocol with simulated activities to learn and apply communication strategies for treatment for people living with disability, such as visual, hearing, cognitive, and mobility limitations. This is an activity that all student chapters can utilize, and I think with relative ease. And I think that's why it's so important. And they may end up being inserted in the curricula at our oral health care educational facilities, which is, again, one of our primary goals. So our fingers are crossed, as this is very exciting, and development that our student members and faculty leads are totally delighted with. I mean, they're wanting to bring this into their chapters. So well done, Sophia. Next slide, please. Another milestone, and this is near and dear to my heart, the award. We've started the student essay contest this year. And the goal of our contest is to get our students thinking and writing about barriers to care and potential solutions. And I think that we need to actually make our students think and write, because AI makes me nervous. And so I think that they're becoming less likely to think and less likely to write. So this is something that I think is something that's important on multiple levels. We are excited to receive the essays for review, and the essays are due December 1st. And so I'm currently working with two mentees, and they're developing two beautiful essays, so I can't wait for everyone to read them. And where our hope is that we can possibly actually get one of these essays published somewhere across Canada. So that would be pretty awesome. Next slide, please. Sorry, Barbara, I know I'm running over time. Finally, we've had a lot of things happen this year. Finally, our goals. So I think one is that we need to establish student chapters at each of Canada's oral health programs. We need U of T. We need Laval. We need University of Saskatchewan. We need so many different dental hygiene schools, dental assisting schools. That would be awesome if we can get involved in all of the oral health care institutions across Canada that are teaching oral health care. To the students and educators, so I'm talking to you folks now that are here tonight. If you would like to start a chapter at your institution, but there's not one there already, please reach out to me. It's not going to be nearly as difficult as you would think. We have a framework ready for you, and we have lots of backup for you. I think that we also need to increase student membership through increased social media. I think we've been doing a great job. We've increased our student membership a lot this year, but we have a long way to go. So the more student involvement, the better. I think that we need to secure funding for chapter activities because not only do we need to get these people to meet, we need to feed them a little bit, maybe some pizza or something along those lines. Think that way. But I mean, there's also other things that the money can go to, and I think it's very important. We also need to improve the transition rate from student membership to general membership upon graduation. That's obviously important too, because not only do we need to, grow student membership, we need to grow general membership. And that's to get the message out to all of Canada. We want our graduating students to recognize the great value in active membership in CSDH. So that's just one of the things that we'll be working on over the year. And that's it for Student Representation Committee. I will turn things back to you, Barbara Rand, for our Director of Communications and Social Media.
Super. Thank you very much, Drew. So Communications Committee was largely a committee of one for a few years. So I'm definitely thrilled to be joined by enthusiastic new members who have been instrumental in increasing our focus on social media. They're all doing a great job. I would like to have a little call out to Catherine Peddle, one of our board members. Olaf and I met her in Newfoundland in September, and she really was the spark behind us getting more involved in social media. So that has been wonderful. And again, just a great group of students. And I had a contact with another student today who's interested in joining us. So I think we're just going to keep getting better and better. In terms of accomplishments for 2025, I'm just going to talk about three things. If you haven't visited our website lately, please go back to it. There are a couple of new pages there. One is on advocacy, which it contains the submissions that we've made to the government and other policymakers. There's only two things there at the moment, but we will be posting more there. The Support Us page directs people on how they can support us, and more importantly, recognizes our members who choose to contribute more than the minimum required membership dues, and to the big donors that we have had. There's also been a little bit of reorganizing of the resources page, so it makes it hopefully easier for people to find things that are grouped together. So again, there's more work to be done there, but we're making progress. Another area of focus for communications is obviously supporting other committees. And primarily the work in the past year was in two areas. One was in supporting the lecture series, and the other was in promoting the student essay. I mentioned our big work, which really only started a month and a half ago, was in our social media presence, especially on Instagram, which targets the younger audience that Drew just talked about. So we've been posting something every week since October, and we would like to increase that to 2 times per week if we can. And you'll see here we've increased the number of followers. I don't remember when I took the baseline rate, it was several years ago, but now we've gone from 175 to 366 followers. And a lot of that has been since we started in October. So that the _CSDH is our Instagram handle. So if you aren't already following us, please do so. I don't have a slide for 2026, but our plans really are just to keep doing what we're doing, widening the net for content, primarily by not primarily, but hopefully we'll be able to repost material from others and getting more out there without having to do so much of the work ourselves. And with that, I am going to pass it over to Shauna Hatchie for the Treasurer's Report.
Thank you, Barbara. So our $64,000 in revenue this year is due to the generous support of our donors and the contributing and supporting members. Our expenses include the International Association of Disability and Oral Health dues, which provide you, the members, with complimentary membership to this association. The administrative costs such as banking fees, file storage, meeting software, and the website, and annual filing fees as a Canadian nonprofit. And we also have for expenses exhibits and travel at several key dental conferences, such as the Pacific Dental Conference. And lastly, we hosted an in-person lecture for one of our student chapters, as was already discussed at Western. And we also, actually, that's it, because I had in here that we were supporting the essay contest, but Drew is so good that he has managed to find us a donor for that. So overall, it has been a very fruitful year in terms of finances, and we would like to keep this growing to continue to do the great work that we have underway and have plans for. So that's it for the treasurer. I'm happy to take any questions, and also the annual report will include further detail, and I will turn it over to Sharat.
Yeah, thank you, Shona. I just would like to remind the board that all questions regarding the finances, what we plan to do, are we looking at different options, will be submitted in detail in the report. I just want to also remind members that a poll was sent out asking us what we want to do with our finances. And if you have any ideas, we're happy to hear feedback. And we will be looking at our priorities for 2026. So for us, one of the biggest challenges was to get a new board, and we are so fortunate. You're going to meet our new board today. Most of you have already voted for them, and we thank all our members who voted our board in. So it's a very exciting group of new leaders. We are looking to foster a collaborative relationship with government, regulators, academia, and professional oral health associations. We are a broad spectrum of services in this organization, and we do not restrict our efforts to engage with any one particular group, whether it be dentists or dental hygienists or the government itself. And we intend to continue to build bridges wherever we are moving forward. And through the CSDH fellowship, I just want to clarify, this is not an academic fellowship. It is a recognition of the fact that people are willing and able to provide care to individuals with disabilities. And I think Suzanne presented a wonderful summary of that, and you will be seeing more of this as it takes final shape. And the most important thing, something that's very close to my heart, is to use technology, whether it is through podcasts or through the social media channels, to create easily accessible platforms and resources for the enhancement of knowledge and skills in all healthcare delivery for persons living with disabilities. Next slide, please, Barbara. Now, before we move to the board ratification, I do want to go through a small little thank you. And I know Barbara's put a slide here, and I put together a small video. So if you will permit me, Barbara, I would like to share screen for less than a minute. Thank you. I mean, it's been a long journey. I came to Canada when the CSDH started. I'm so thrilled today to see a lot of our founders back here today. It started with three people, but these three individuals who've given 6 years will be the first set of board members to complete a 6-year maximum term. I didn't say goodbye because it isn't goodbye. I say thank you because you're going to stay with us. It is my privilege to thank all of the board members who are retiring this year from the board. Barbara, if we could have the slide, I believe we. So Dr. Steve Lipinski, who gave his all to the membership committee, Professor Lara Timler, as Drew has already mentioned, is moving on, as is Dr. Lindsay James, who's spearheaded our education committee, Catherine Peddle, who was a member at large there, and Dr. Motika Singh. And we are truly, truly grateful for each of you who have served. And when you are on the board of CSDH, it doesn't mean that you don't serve the moment you step off. So it is my honor and privilege as president of the Canadian Society for Disability and Oral Health to thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving your time, for making time in your busy schedules to help us move forward. And with that, I believe it is also my immense joy and pleasure to propose. I think next slide. No, am I slipping something? I believe
We're looking for motion.
Yep, we're looking for someone to propose this because we have an awesome group of board of directors. And if I'm looking for someone to propose a motion to ratify the slate of nominees to serve on the 2026 board of directors. So Paul and Olaf, I mean, well, we have a proposal. Paul proposes, Olaf seconds. And if there is no call for a discussion, Olaf, do you have something to say?
Yeah, I just have to get the poll up here properly.
Oh, yeah, don't worry. Yeah, but fair enough. But other than that, no other discussion, I'm assuming. So Olaf will get the poll up.
There we go.
So. And I will give 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you. And the board is ratified unanimously. It is my pleasure to introduce the board. Now, we are limited by the Corporations Canada to have 10 voting directors and 10 incorporate directors. However, we've had an immense, it is my joy, my pleasure to welcome my fellow practitioner from the province of Ontario, Dr. Maria Salome, as a 1-year appointment to the board. And this is the 2026 Board of Directors as constituted. I am really honored that Dr. Drew Smith has agreed to take on the mantle of the presidency as president-elect when my term comes to an end. Ms. Joan Rush was our vice president, but will focus her immense energies on the advocacy. Dr. Jennifer Archibald as secretary, who will have the unenviable task of replacing Carol. So good luck with that. And Shauna Hatchie as our reliable treasurer, Rama Balkaran as our research and education chair, Ms. Afifa either as the membership chair, Ms. Cheryl Launston as a member at large and a Special Olympics committee. And we have Dr. Sujit Pradhan as member at large and member of the fellowship committee, Dr. Ali Adastani as member at large and student representation committee. And as I mentioned before, Dr. Maria Salome for a 1-year appointment. So this is our 2026 board as constituted.
It's back to me.
All right.
I just want to point out on that last slide, Cheryl Arntzen also has the role of faculty champion for the University of Alberta. I forgot to include that on the slide. And I'm also happy to report that in the last few minutes, we've had 2 new followers on our Instagram page. Thank you to those people. So I do have to admit, this is my favorite part of the program. I love putting trivia together for you. And I'm super excited by this year's game, but I hope you've been paying very close attention because all of the answers have already been revealed. So here's tonight's game. It's name that board member. And you're going to see pictures on a page, and you have to figure out which board member the picture represents. There's going to be 17 in total. I'll give you, just so that you can see what it's like, I'll give you the obvious, easy answer. So here's the first one. Yeah, you might want to have paper and pencil handy. So I think.
Who is that? Who is that?
Who is that? Yeah, exactly. We all know who that is. They're not all as easy as that. So there's 17 in total. I'm going to give you about 30 seconds per page. per page. I'm going to get my timer set. Hang on. Actually, I'll get the first one going. You might get a few extra minutes on the first one.
Don't need it.
Yeah. Some of them are going to be a little bit harder.
There's a reason I always lose these games. I can get number 1.
Joan, I'm with you. I can get number 1, but I think that's the extent of it.
Please tell me I'm not the only one old enough for number 2.
I went to high school with that drummer. Hopefully our board members will at least recognize themselves.
I hate to think that the muskox is me.
The answers will be revealed.
So I'm not sure, Barbara, how do we play here?
Oh, you just have to identify the board member from the picture. Like it's symbolic.
So they don't
And so
in the chat room,
how do we
have a piece of paper or something.
Oh, in the chat room, okay.
Yeah. No, you
So
don't have
is
to put
this
it there.
is this the last board or the new board?
It's both. Some are
Okay.
from the last board, some are from the new board. I'll give you a little bit more time
Okay.
on that page. As I say, hopefully at least the board members will recognize themselves.
Dear heavens.
I'm
Well,
just going to say that the sandwich looks delicious, but it might have just a tiny bit too much mayonnaise. But other than that, it looks great.
All right.
Mayonnaise is a
I'm
fifth
going
food
on to the
group.
next page.
There's no such thing as too much mayonnaise.
Olaf, I like the way you think. And I think that I will be excused for this because I'm just new on the board, so I don't know
No,
all
you're
these things.
no one is excused.
Here.
This might turn out to be harder than I thought.
That look on your face, Rama, is what I did when the first time I saw it too. Huh?
I want you to know, everyone, that not only is she making us do all this work and realizing that we haven't got a clue, but on top of it, there's no prize.
Exactly.
There's the greatest prize of all, the prize of knowing.
Well,
Knowledge. Prize of knowledge.
well,
Yes,
too
one of
bad for
those.
me.
There you
The
go. Thank you,
bragging
Julie.
rights. There you
Bragging
go.
rights, yeah.
There you go.
All right. I will put you out of your misery. I do want to know if the board recognized themselves as they went through this. So here are the answers. So the first one was obvious. That's Olaf Blutska. Joan, this is the group Rush.
Oh, Rush. I should have thought of that. It's Rush. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Sharat, you asked if anyone's old enough to know I'm too old to know the group.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Let's say I went to high school with Neil Peart, the drummer. That is a panini sandwich is for Sharat Pani. That's a yak for Carol Yakachuk. That's a graffiti alley for new member Ali Ardestani. That's timber for Laura Timler. Let's see. The gentleman is wearing a Roman gentleman wearing a toga is Paul Romanson.
Oh,
That is the Santa Maria from Christopher Columbus's boat. So Maria Salome, Shauna Hatchie, linseed oil for Lindsay James, a diorama for Rama Balkaran, gas pedal for Catherine Pedal. Oops, hang on, I'm missing a page. I'm missing a page. Hang on, it's hidden. I will get it open.
I want to know what you did
Oh,
for
you know
Jim
what?
Smith.
I'll just hang on. Go back to share. Hang on, find the right one. I'm not sure where it went. Without going all the way, okay, here, I just need to unhide. You know what? I'll go back to the page that doesn't have the answer. So, and back to here.
Yes.
That is a chair rail for Cheryl Arntzen. There is Drew Blacksmith,
Oh.
an eider duck for Afifa. This one, the next one is the one that I thought was going to be the hardest. Not everybody knows that modes of public transportation are called a jitney for Sujit Pradhan and an arch for Jennifer Archibald. So there you
fabulous, Barbara. My goodness.
I agree. They're very brilliant, and obviously way over my head.
I'm sad to
right.
say I didn't get very many, but brilliant. You are a thinker.
Well, that is lots of fun. I promise next year's will be easier. So, all right, some acknowledgements. Olaf.
All right, thank you. And in the interest of time, I've written this out so that I don't go off track in my usual fashion. It's my privilege to thank some very special people and organizations, not the least of which are all of you Class A members who joined as contributor members. We want to formally at this time for your generosity. For the next couple of minutes, I want to specifically identify and thank that you see on the screen in front of you. Firstly, I'm pleased to inform you about Jordan and Peter McGran and their family-owned orthodontic manufacturing company called American Orthodontics. The company provides ongoing donation of $750 a year as prizes for the student essay contest, including a $500 cash prize and a plaque. Secondly, Dr. Gurbaz Sandhu from London North Dental Center. Their donation helps support organizational activities. Thirdly, Mr. Stan Chalmicki, the manager of the London branch of Patterson Dental, whose donation helps fund our lecture series. But now I am extremely honored and privileged to recognize the final two individuals. Firstly, my friend, Dr. Derek Haruda, the president of Elgin Dental Society, made it his mission to support the CSDH for the upcoming year by donating the Elgin Dental Society's annual dues of $25,000 to our society. In his own words, he said, and I quote, "Our goal as a society is to raise awareness within the dental community about the importance of providing care for patients with disabilities. It is essential to normalize the treatment of patients with disabilities and ensure their needs are addressed in every dental office alongside those of patients without disabilities." My hope is that our donation will serve as a catalyst for discussion and inspire other dental societies to join in supporting this important cause. I have to say it is Derek's sincere passion that speaks volumes as to his character and deep sense of professional purpose. And finally, Mr. Tim Brown, broker of record and CEO of Roy Corporation. There isn't much that I haven't already said on our social media platforms about Mr. Brown's generosity and his passion for the mission of the CSDH. When you get to know Tim, you learn of his passion, sensitivity, and understanding of what it means to be a caregiver. As with many of our members, Tim is inspired to contribute because of his personal experience, seeing the impact a disability can have not only on the person with the disability, but also on the entire family. His support of having our society be a beneficiary of last year's White Knight Gala, which is Roy Corporation's major fundraiser, provided us with $15,000, which he quickly followed up with a donation of another $10,000. Shortly thereafter, he was quick to indicate that our society would be a beneficiary of the 2026 White Knight Gala, a truly remarkable commitment. The generosity of all our supporters cannot be understated and will go a long way to help us move forward with goals for our 2026 and beyond. Once again, our sincerest and heartfelt thanks to them all. Back to you, Sharon.
Are you doing these ones too, Olaf?
Am I doing which?
The next two? Acknowledging our members as well? No?
No, I thought that was Sharon. Sorry.
Right. Well, thank you, Olaf. And it is my pleasure. As you can see here, it is a huge thank you from all of us. The society is made up of you, our members. And I know that over 25% of those of you who joined as paid members have been contributing members. Many of you have even gone one step further by purchasing memberships for assistants, for people within the clinic, within the family, and we really appreciate your support. As you can see, we are a genuine mixed bag of general dentists, dental specialists, hygienists, assistants, academics, and others. And if you look at our schools, we've gone from every single school, from the Atlantic to the Pacific. We have significant members in each school, and it is my honor and privilege to thank each and every one of them. So please continue to support us and continue. All right. Now, it is also my privilege to thank our committees. And I think every committee did it by name. I think I will speak for the committees that didn't really get a chance to thank people. So there was the membership committee where I want to thank the outgoing chair, Dr. Steve Lipinski, welcome the incoming chair. These are the members, and the Special Olympics Committee, which is going to be continued to be chaired by Carol Yakipchik. Carol, thank you for taking this on. And we have the members for the year here. I think all of the others were thanked by our presenters, but I want to reinforce our sincere appreciation. We are a volunteer organization. We do not provide any sort of prizes or financial reward for the work that you do. And therefore, every single bit of work that you give to the CSDH is deeply appreciated. Right. And it is with this that we come to the end of today's meeting. And all that remains for me is to close the meeting by once again thanking every single one of you who've attended today, all our committee members. And it has been a wonderful year. I am looking forward with great excitement to the year ahead. And at this point, I would like to say that we are going to stay on for 15 minutes. Certainly the board is, so that in case somebody just wants to stick around, chat, catch up on stuff that you haven't, because I know that if you go down this list, there are people that you haven't seen for many years. And I do want, before I go to the end of this, I know that I said we thank every one of you who works. There is one person who I would like to thank because I believe she goes above and beyond. She's not a dentist. She does not actually hold a position on the board. And yet, from putting these entire slide decks together to arranging trivia to getting our meetings in order, Barbara, I don't think we would be able to put this meeting together without you. And I think that while I don't think anybody will begrudge this special thanks to you. I know that every one of our people who work hard deserve special thanks, but really what you do for this organization is really amazing. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And with that, I believe we're ready to make a motion to adjourn or sorry.
We will. I do want to point out one thing for
Yep.
anybody who wants to stay on for this 15 minutes afterwards. We are going to show another video. I think if Laura is still there and prepared to share that, it's really a rather fun thing. So stick around for that.
It'll be worth it.
It'll be absolutely worth it. But yes, now we're ready for the motion to adjourn.
I need someone to propose the motion, please.
I move to adjourn.
Thank you, Joan. Do I have a seconder?
I second it, Shauna.
Oh, thanks, Shauna. And I believe we have reached quorum way beyond, so I will close in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And with that, we will see you all in 2026. Thank you.